G'day guys, just knock out these two reviews, from Hawkesbury Saturday week ago. Sorry that I've missed that. Just been a bit of a funny 2 weeks. Paul's been away and plenty on. So we kick off with Clarendon Stakes. This meeting was really tough. Took a long time to review just because of the angles. Strange meeting, to be fair. Inside was off. That's for sure. And really struggled to come hard inside. You could sort of sit 2-3 off the fence, and it looked like the sweet spot was sort of 5, 6, 7 off in the straight. Nothing too surprising about all that. Certainly a little bit of an advantage to be up there, and you certainly wanted to be there with it, by the 600 metre mark ideally, and working into the race. Nothing new about that for Hawkesbury. Always plays pretty similar, unless it's sort of slingshot to the outside. So first race of the day was for the 2-year-olds. I said that Clarendon Stakes are fairly evenly. So they've certainly actually gone out quite quick, then pulled up. Sorry, they're not quite crazy quick. They've pulled up and then taken off again. It's a bit of a weird one. So they've gone quick to the 800, slowed right down to the 600, and then come home okay. So a bit of an anchor drop.
Thanks, Greg. Set to run. Starter has them.
Get rid of that.
Gates are back and they're away. Field Commander was slow to move off the inside. Owen County, Awesome John going back. Master Showman, one of the first. So
the winner Burgunder sits outside the leader, jumping from 11 to 1400 metres. A nice horse, this horse that looked like it was... the fence in the run, I didn't talk about it, especially in these shorter course races, was not ideal, and that was probably the main thing. So Master Showman sits out, Leeds sits outside, it does a Burgunder, and Basquet, who's the other main horse in the race, is just in behind them, cuts underneath them. I didn't think there was anything too exciting here. I do think this form's pretty solid. I think that Green Shadow, who was hard fit, is back here, sort of promotes this form's quite solid. The time obviously okay, bit of an anchor drop makes it harder to run, good time too, so that's a good sign. I think horses like Owen County back in the field here, and I think this horse is even worth a watch. Awesome John, just think he's done enough in his 2 runs, ridden out the back and up in distance, and with these runs under his belt can continue to improve. But the winner's obviously a nice horse, this Burgunder, and Biscay will obviously be breaking through very soon. Nothing but obvious, but should run very well just about wherever it goes. Master Showman did pull up slow to recover, but as you can see, they're all pretty much close enough. Bit of a dash home. This is the product of the anchor drop. They all sort of bunch up, and then the leader sprint. I really don't think that played into the hands of Burgunder. It probably played more into the hands of Basquet, and we see that over the last 100 metres. Burgunder's probably just that little bit stronger, a bit more of a grinder. A couple of the others who have had to make that sprint just level out a bit from back in the field. So I think their runs are okay. All 3 of these horses in Owen County, Green Shadows and Cadetship, I think they've all gone quite well. But I do think the most promising horse is definitely Burgunder. And Basquet's got plenty of merit there, but did have every chance in the run. The only thing was it was jumping from 11 to 1400 metres there, which is not easy to do to sustain a run. So a bit of merit in that race, and I think these horses will sort of make the grade. The first 5 across the line all pretty much ready to win if placed well straight away. Race 2, the Highway. Won't spend too much time in this race. Didn't think too much happened. Just checking to see my notes there. The winner's quite impressive, but and the time's quite good. They set a fast tempo, and Hardware Lane capitalises on that.
Stand by. Brief state. They're often race Lou out wide, but Rue.
So Hardware Lane's in the big white face. Just drops in behind. 3 wide with the trail for most of it, which is probably not a bad spot to be on this day. Certainly want to be staying away from that inside. And pulls to the right part of the track, so that's 6 or 7 off position, which is completely ideal. No instant return, instant sort of explosion of turn a foot, but certainly looks to build through its gears and get away from them late, nice and strong to the line. Obviously they're not going super quick that last section, but the winner they still run home okay considering the solid tempo and the fast overall time, so couldn't expect much more. Overextend was certainly pretty solid. It did get held up a touch through here. This is overextending behind with the blinkers. Once it gets out, it sort of similar builds through its gears and grides to the line, so I don't think it's a sharp sit or sprinter horse, so that blocking momentum certainly would have stopped it finishing closer and was a bit eased late. So I think they're the clear two out of that race. I couldn't find too many excuses for others. Others that raced up on speed, but they were beaten quite away, 17 lengths. I'm Not Slew and the leader in Extravagant Lad, who were both pressured. Willful Spirit, who sat outside leader, was probably the most forgivable, beaten the least margin and sat outside there with pressure from inside and out, both sort of inside and out the whole way. So that's the highway, nothing too exciting there. The winner very obvious, and the second horse clearly the second best run in the race. Sorry, I'll get into this properly in a sec. Here's the midway. This run's pretty much inexplicable. Just enormous effort by Knight. They go out, just want to check to make sure. They go out 8 lengths above to the 800, 11 and a half lengths above to the 600, and they only come home 2 lengths below, plus 9.6 overall. Pretty insane performance when you see what this horse does. So it's in the colourblind yellow with the pink, and see it sort of nearly keen up outside leader, eventually takes a sit. As I said, they're going very quick here, but look at it, outside leader still tugging for rein, like it still looks like it's not travelling. Friendly sits, didn't take a sit, sits outside leader the whole way, pours the pressure on from before the turn, and takes a clear lead and just runs away from him. He's a good horse, and he was set up to that he could improve, but this performance is pretty crazy. Strong right through the line, nothing really ran on except for a cheerer, who can do that off a cold sit. Certainly looks like that's the way to ride that horse, much colder. French Bonnet was probably a disappointment in the race. Certainly didn't have the run that it had the previous start. Just didn't jump cleanly. It's the grey out there, sort of drifted back. Did have cover, but a pretty average performance, really. Trying to find excuses for others. Monkey B slow to recover. What was this? French Bonnet was galloped on as well, pardon me, so playing in the straight, that may explain a little bit of why it was didn't run on as not that you'd expect it to sort of win from back there, but certainly expected it to run on a bit more one pace sort of horse. It's a horse that needs to be up on speed to do its best, really. Divine Breath wide, no cover as well. But really a one horse affair. Cheer, as you said, sort of had every possible chance, cuddled up, ran home late, pace assisted, but the time was very good, so I'm not looking to be too negative towards any of the horses here. The horse that's in the wrong part of the track in the straight is certainly Reformist. Momac sort of rolls back there, but Reformist could be a sneaky, forgivey sort of run. The problem, I wish it was on the fence in the run though, but it sort of just sneaks back towards that section in the straight trying to find clear running. So, and then it did stop when it was there, so it's a bit of an iffy one and does stop quite badly late. But the only horse that was really in the wrong quicksandy sort of spot in the straight, Knight the most obvious there, and if it repeats that performance, I think it was a career peak. Just let's have a look. 90.9, so it's a clear. It's run that sort of time, on that sort of rating, second up behind Kobe Rocks. It hadn't done it for about 6 or 7 runs, and that's it's clear. Those two ratings, its best 2 in a long time, and that was its best run clearly for the Jason Addo camp. So maybe it can hold that that form together at Scone. So, all right, race 4. Deep Strike's the horse I didn't really like coming into this. Thought it was going to get back and face a tough task running on from well back in the field, and just a really poor race has allowed it to sort of run into it. Has done something. It's run home 5 lengths above last 800, and but that really slow tempo, 8 lengths below to the 8, 6.9 to the 6, and then run home in even time. So obviously it's run home quicker than that from back in the field, but the race overall very plain, very slow overall time, and pretty dicey race with bunch margins. So this is Deep Strike back in the field. Went way too slow on the leader here, I think, in Global Osbred. It actually goes up to Brisbane tomorrow, so anyone watching today, it's a horse that could probably improve up there with a better ride. Mission Phoenix outside leader here on the slow tempo, just battles on. Behind the leader, Arapaho, every possible chance. Shibley, there's problems with this race. Shibley pulls up the cardiac arrhythmia. Calipore, who was the short price favourite, basically never took part in the race. It's out the back here. It got checked and didn't handle the conditions is what they said. But what does that mean? It's a bit of an excuse these days they cop and walk away with. But D-Stroke's certainly close enough on the turn. Doesn't do a lot, as in doesn't do anything quickly. Rolls back to the inside, gets held up marginally, but then comes through the middle. So a bit of a weird horse. Does get buffeted up here, but again, look at it. Charge of the Light Brigade. You've got very one-paced horses. Global Osbred, get the idea. Mission Phoenix, Shibley obviously had that issue. Calipore, you've got to say that something's happened to it, as in hasn't performed anywhere near its best. So just danger warning signs everywhere. The only positive sign for this horse is it's marginally the strongest on the line and was sort of held up and buffeted. So did we really get to see its best? I'm not sure, but I'd side on the look, even this is like always sure and behind. It doesn't look like it's had the perfect trip. I'd rather be negative about the winner than positive, let's put it that way. Neutral a little bit because of it's strong through the line, but you've got so many warning signs. As I said, second favourite, failed. Second horse in the race back towards the inside of the track, did get off the inside, so not poisonous part, but still not in the ideal position. I do think it was rails in run. It was rails in run. Rappo was rails in run, and this horse just had the perfect trip, came down the right part, and it's not as if it's bursting away from on the line. Does scare me a little bit that it pricked its ears there on the line. So not much to be learned out of that race, Deep Strike, but to think it was a little bit flattered by a number of things in the race. Actually, it was flattered in the race is terrible. So I'm going to say that it's one to be wary of next start for sure. Sacramony, the horse that we got beaten in a 10 times easier race at its previous start, wins race 5. Another pretty plain race. They go pretty steady, come home a couple of lengths below. So a race that's just fair overall. Not horrible, but nothing to write home about. I've never sounded flatter in my life. All right, what have we got here? We've got. I thought they went a bit slow, these legs actually, but they didn't go as slow as I thought. In Queen Bellissimo and Authentic Jewel, both fast horses that speed's their asset. I thought Queen Bellissimo fought on considerably well, fought on well considering the average tempo. You can see how bunched these margins are. Sacramony just gets that perfect drag up, 3 wide with cover, right behind Queen Bellissimo, gets to the right part of the track at the right time and has its chance to wind up. I thought Authentic Jewel probably had to be off and gone by here to take advantage of its speed, and I thought it did a pretty good job first up. Fox Fighter, as always, finds trouble back towards the inside there, is in the worst part of the going and runs well again. What else have we got? We've got... So Authentic Jewel's done a really good job to hold on to late. Sacramony every possible chance and had the run under its belt compared to the 2 leaders, and Queen Bellissimo fought back. I think all 3 of them are pretty right to go. Lancaster Bomber right runs on okay in the right part. Fox Fighter just always finds trouble, but he's going okay, just needs everything to fall his way, and that's about it. Selena Dreamer didn't handle the conditions is the one there, and same for Lash as they're saying. But again, pretty quiet race. First, I think these two can find, like if they find a different track with more on pace favours. They can run well. Sacramento always dangerous. That's just with that is what it is. That horse hasn't done anything special, but just a horse that has a bit of tactical speed and can finish a race off. So it'll always continue to run well while it's in this strainer form. Race 6, Hawkesbury Rush. Lost the sheet. Let's try and find it. All missing, but not a hard race to work out for Hawkesbury Rush. Taken out by Tycoonist, basically only 2 horses in this race from start to finish. Malkovich up front. They go.
Gates are back. They're off and racing.
They go pretty steady, come home pretty steady. So a bit of an anchor drop, which probably helped Tycoonist get into the race. So another ride where Malkovich probably could have been let roll a little bit more. Certainly was early, but just steadied up a little bit in the section towards here, which allows sort of Tycoonist to get a little bit closer than probably should have, considering that Malkovich had a bit of a fitness edge over Tycoonist, but Tycoonist always going to be very difficult to hold off once it got this close in the run. I think Tycoonist is probably a bit of a stronger horse. Malkovich, very good horse, but also limited to his turn of foot. He struggles to fight them off if they get that cold sit on him. So good effort from Tycoonist. I thought that Marbusha was okay and Step were okay. The other it was just pretty plain. So it's a nothing race. I think that the only horse to really take out of the race with any confidence is Tycoonist. When he gets things to suit in races, set up to suit, he can certainly finish a race off. He's a pretty good horse. And Malkovich, he's fast. He needs things to be ideal for him really to get home, and not much to be learnt there. But nothing special race on paper. Their end time is okay, and Tycoonist can sort of go forward. This horse is probably sneaky through the middle, but again, every possible chance down the running and raced off the fence throughout. So hard to be too nice to horses that race back in the field and sort of just get home late without ever threatening. Mr. Mozart, this is probably a bit stiff here. Dalcini, another extremely solid effort here to just go down to Mr. Mozart, who certainly was given every possible chance. They go out pretty solid here and come home okay. Times very good overall. So Dalcini's effort really good. Dragged back to last. Coming out of races against the fillies, racing against the older horses here. Very, very strong effort. Sorry, this is Guinea, so 3-year-olds, but against the colts as well. Mr. Mozart straight to the front, controls the tempo, even though it is above average. I don't mind that on these sort of surfaces. With a bit of pressure though, so it does add to the merit of the run. Horses like the sort of Lock Eagle, every possible chance. I thought this is the best ride that Party for One's been given. And 3 wide horses there just don't take part in the race late. Volana sat outside leader. That wasn't an easy spot with that tempo, and its effort was pretty good, I thought. But it was beaten 5 lengths. Just a forgive up to this grade, and in the most high pressure position, Lock Eagle had the run right on its back, every possible chance. And as I said, sort of Party for One gets the run through the middle as well. Eventually here just gets to the outside of Alana and runs on. So every possible chance to all runners. Very good ride on Dalcini to slice through from back in the field, but a very good performance by that horse. Absolutely flying, just struggling to break through. Lock Eagle showed that it's just that little bit one-paced as well, again, late in the race up to this grade. And Party for One always running on. Testing people's patience now, but racing well. Good effort from first and second horse. Tough horse, the winner who doesn't mind a dogfight. He's continuing to race well, Mr. Mozart. Hawkesbury Crown here, they go out pretty steady, they come home pretty steady overall, very average time, and nothing exciting happens that I could find. There's a lot of interference in the end of this race, and I hate being negative towards horses that sit outside leader, such a hard position to win from, so definitely not going to be too harsh on Exotic Ruby, but pretty harsh on this race overall. Scared of the bunch margins. First of all, Edaware misses the start. Most of the interference happens, so nothing really happens in the run here. You got a few horses racing wide, no biggie. You got horses that make ground quickly up the fence here, like Papali. So forgiving a bit, because it does make ground quickly up the worst running. Never Talk comes towards the outside. The interference sort of more happens in here. So first of all, we got Wonderbar gets a bad check here. I thought Brooks By was really ordinary. Every possible chance in the run right position, gets to the right part of the track, doesn't do a lot. Here we go, Wonderbar gets turned sideways. I don't know, has it already been turned sideways? There it is, gets turned sideways. Never Talks back in here, so it has to check towards the outside, trying to find a run. These horses still bumping. That was Jump the Broom, and I think Brooks By does cop a little bit of it, but not much, I didn't think. Nudge right down the outside. It wasn't easy to run on right down the outside, so I thought she got going really well late. And you got another horse in there. Yeah, I just thought it was a pretty nasty race. Never Talk probably looks like it was a good thing beaten. Wonderbar, you could make a case for her. Papali's come up the inside, so certainly flattered by the finishing position, but don't really want to be too harsh on Exotic Ruby just because she's been in the toughest spot and toughed it out and done not a bad job. I'd rather probably be negative towards Fashionelle, who pretty much had its chance up in front. Just a little bit of a concern, just leading on the fence there was not easy to do on the day. So overall, it's a bit of a pumpkin race. Horse that sat behind the leader in the worst parts, just beaten, cut up the fence in the worst part, ran well, checked and ran on steadily after that, but certainly nothing exciting about the performance, just a little bit unlucky. Sat back in the field, cuts through under them, tries to get to the best part and unlucky and held up. And Nudge just only got going the last sort of 50 to 100 metres, but I thought the run was really good. Nudge was good. I just watched Nudge in isolation down the outside here. Through the line, it's the horse you want to be probably finding later in its preparation when it goes to Brisbane. But an average race overall, bit of interference, and you can't be too harsh against any of the place getters because they've all got excuse. So, bit of a hand wash race. And learn more next time, I think. Kerwin's Lane, a really strong performance here. They go out very fast, 8 lengths, 10 lengths above to the 600. They come home quite slow, very slow. But good merit. The merit's all in the first half of the race, and this horse did race up close to the pace just behind it. Did have a nice run and cover, but hard to knock the performance, that's for sure. They've gone out way too hard, so this is Kerwin's just slotting into fourth. Hopeful's on its back. The Tissue's back in the field. Brutality sort of never works into it. Arcado did pull up 2 out of 5 lane. Jockey did get done for excessive whip use on Hopeful, and the leader, as you can imagine, Arcademus, pulled up slow to recover after setting a Mark 5 speed. A few disappointing horses. The front man certainly disappointing. Just looks like the Carnival's cooked it. All those wet tracks. Anything else in the market that failed badly? Imaging failed again. The horse just doesn't look like it's come through those runs too well. Kerwin's Lane presents the middle here. This is Hopeful. Arcado to its outside, as I said, he pulled up lame, so forgiving of it, even though it's not one of my favourite horses. Imaging in the middle, every chance. These horses back on the inside were hard to sort of get a line on. Birdebeck, you can see not too much vigour and in the wrong part of the track. Front man's cooked there. Whether Birdebeck can improve significantly or not, I'm not sure. It's just hard to tell off that vision and angle, and doesn't really burst through the line, but forgiving of it for this run. As I said, Brutality just whacks down the outside without ever threatening, and he just doesn't look like he's going anywhere near his best. A Tissue, you can make a case that its run wasn't too bad. This is a Tissue here, so it's in a nice position in the run for the tempo. They've gone really quick, but does make a pretty sharp move up the inside. getting past tired horses is a concern, but still closer to the worst part of the track there, and sort of still kept finding the line not super weak, whereas you saw a couple there weaken quite badly on that inside section even after making runs. So a Tissue's run not too bad, all merit with the winner, and the second horse had its chance, a couple of excuses. So explained. The last, this horse bled since Norwegian Bliss. I think they kind of thought it might have bled on the day. Said it may have hit itself somewhere and then had to gallop in front of stewards and did bleed, so it's gone for 3 months. Shame, because it was another really strong performance here. They go out, steady, just a little bit above average, come home a little bit below average, and the time overall is not great, but still a good performance. Estero sits outside. I'm watching the wrong race. Field look too big. Yeah, they don't look like they go very fast here. Brunelli leads, very average performance. Outside leader Estero, would love to see it go back in trip. They just refuse to do it. Lavois sits wide, no cover. Smoot back on the inside again, beaten 6 lengths here and just not going anywhere near as well as he was earlier in the prep. The winner settled further back than most people probably would have thought and sustained that run right to the middle. If it did bleed on the day, an incredible performance, a really nice horse. Oceanic Flash back towards the inside, not bad, well short of its best distance and not its sort of race. As it said, Smoot sort of stays on the inside, and whether it was the going or whether this horse is just not doing his best. Brunelli again a little bit plain, and bunchy margins. Night of Power was okay, another horse not suited to this, so I think these were good clean out runs for Night of Power and Oceanic Flash, and I think that's about all you're going to get out of the race. This horse bled, this horse is way into its preparation, probably needs a freshen and back in distance for mine. Oceanic Flash and Night of Power are probably the only two horses you really need to look at with any conviction going forward, because they're the only two that really look on the up this prep. The rest have sort of had enough, or not going well enough, or probably going to struggle to be placed well in the coming weeks. That's about it. Horses to follow with any confidence. I think that first race is a pretty nice race. I think Burgunder, Basquet in a maiden, certainly. Who else? Green Shadows is honest, and Cadetship in a maiden can certainly be followed. Race 2, nothing with conviction. Race 3, be careful of that race. Be worried about Deep Strike coming up under the odds next time around. Nothing with conviction there. Race 7, race 8, I think Nudge is in for a good preparation. Concerned about the rest of that race, but I think Nudge is certainly a nice horse, and was just having a look there. Kerwin's the obvious, can continue to improve out of the Hawkesbury Gold Cup, and the two stayers in Oceanic Flash and Night of Power look like they've come back quite well out of the last pretty eventless, uneventful. Need help with my speech. Meeting, very happy for it to be over. Hawkesbury, as I said, you can see from those angles, very hard to get a look at what they've done really, and sort of line them up, what they are doing late in the races. So happy for that meeting to be over, and once a year, even though they do race there quite often, it's just a bit of a nightmare of a place. Thanks guys.